I missed the clock.
I was just saying the same thing. I was looking a while ago.
Is the Texas pledge on the screen?
Are we doing the Texas pledge? Are we doing the Texas pledge? Okay. Well, that's why we print it. We'll turn around it. We did it last week. When we had the baseball team, we'll read it off the screen. That's what we'll do. When the baseball team came and did it, they did the Texas pledge, and we went. I didn't even know we had one, but all right. Where's the clock?
It was wrong, so it's inside the book.
Okay. She keeps cutting her eyes over. All right. I'll even warn you. Here we go. It is 6 o'clock, Tuesday, June 21st, 2022, and I call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Commerce City Council to order. Tonight, we are honored to have Chris Myers, pastor of the First Baptist Church, which was founded in 1883 and located at 1401 Washington Street, provide our invocation. Pastor Chris Myers, we welcome you. Please come to the podium and provide the invocation for tonight's meeting, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you now thankful to live in a place like Commerce, Texas, USA. Father, we are thankful for just the grace, the unmerited favor that you've given us in allowing us to live in this place. And Father, we do recognize that it is a gift from you. And Father, we pray for our mayor, our council, for our city employees, for the city itself. Father, I pray that we would be wise stewards of what it is that you've given us. And most of all, that we would be obedient to your command to love you with our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love our neighbors as ourselves. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. For our Pledge of Allegiance tonight, we have Ms. Caitlin Houghton, a resident of Commerce who works for one of our downtown businesses, Commerce Family Chiropractic. Caitlin is joined by her children who attend the CISD schools. Leading our pledge this evening, we have Mr. Hudson Jones, who is a 9-year-old and will be starting the 4th grade at Asa Williams in the fall. Joining him, we have Mr. James Houghton. He turns 6 years old today and starts the 1st grade at Commerce Elementary School this fall. Happy birthday, James. Would y'all please come forward, and everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you very much. You may be seated. Item number 4 on our agenda tonight is the consent agenda. Let me give the council a few minutes to take a look at it and let me know if you have any questions. If there are no questions, do I have a motion for approval?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 5, presentation to the City Council by members of the public. I do not have any cards this evening. Do we have anybody here that would like to address the council? Okay, there being none, we close the agenda item for comments from the public. Moving to item 6, presentation of a proclamation honoring the National Boys and Girls Club Week. So, can I have the members of the Boys and Girls Club please stand? And any other board members that you have here. All right, thank you. The City of Commerce, Commerce, Texas proclamation. Be it known to all citizens of the City of Commerce, Texas, whereas the young people of Commerce, Texas are tomorrow's leaders, and whereas many young leaders, and whereas many young Club Week with some 4,000 clubs and over 2 million children and teens nationwide, now, therefore, I, Teddy Real, Mayor of Commerce, City of Commerce, Texas, do hereby proclaim June 27th through July 1st, 2022 as Boys and Girls Club Week. This is in the City of Commerce, Texas. Furthermore, I encourage all citizens to join me in recognizing and commending the Boys and Girls Club organizations in Texas for providing comprehensive, effective services to the young people in our communities. Thank you very much. What I would like to do now is have the council, we'll all move around and get our picture made as we hand the proclamation to the Boys and Girls Club. Holly, can you? Three requirements of the Texas CDBG project, number 7219081. Mr. Edwards.
Good evening, council. Name's Charles Edwards with GrantWorks. Learned to say that now. Appreciate y'all letting me come tonight. Read through this tonight and let y'all get on your way. And is this forward here?
Click through if you'd rather, or I can try.
Yeah, if you would, I'm just gonna read through it, so. City of Commerce has received the following grant award, which we just spoke of, in the amount of $500,000, policy manual. A company may qualify as a Section 3 business if it is owned by low-income persons, it is owned by Section 8 assisted housing residents, or 75% of all labor hours for the business in a 3-month period are performed by Section 3 workers. Gives the HUD website where those businesses can register at to be aware of these opportunities. This project is expected to include the following contracted opportunities, all of which have been previously selected. The grant administration services, which GrantWorks is providing, engineering services, which KSA is providing, the prime contractor is TACNEC, and any subcontractors up under them. You may qualify as a Section 3 worker if your annual income is below the county threshold for your family size, or you're a current or recent youth build participant, and it gives information on where those individuals can go to register for those, to be aware of those opportunities offered through HUD. Section 3 workers that reside near the project location may also qualify. That our firm is responsible for tracking all this, and we will accomplish it. And if you've got any questions, please reach out. Appreciate it.
Hey, Charles.
Thank you.
Any questions? All right, thank you very much. Item 8 on the agenda is presentation and discussion related to agreement with the Boys and Girls Clubs of America partnership with the City of Commerce.
Mayor, Council, thank you. This is Howdy Lisenby, City Manager. As many of you know, about a year ago, we entered into a partnership agreement with the Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Texas to leverage the staff that we have, and by staff I mean Ricky, and the work and the effort that he puts in for our youth sports and youth recreation opportunities within the community. Based on the limited budget that Commerce has available, we felt like this was a strategic opportunity to partner with a nationally known, highly respected organization that focuses on youth development. And so working alongside the Boys and Girls Club, we have had 1 year through this agreement. And so we asked them to come and give a presentation on what our experience has been in this first year, what are the successes, and what are the things that we've learned. And so Miss Jenny is here, and I give you the floor.
Hi, I'm Jenny Kruger. I'm the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Texas. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight to talk about the Sports League partnership and the things that we have accomplished this year and what we can look forward to in the coming year. I'm going to just do a quick partnership overview. Howdy did a great job of that. I don't need to do a whole lot more of it. And then I'm just going to kind of take you through the year. It was around June whenever we formalized the agreement. I'm going to go through kind of the purpose and the goals of the partnership too much. Howdy did a great job of describing that. I do want to point out that the 5 main goals that we had moving into this were to be able to provide high quality outcome driven programs that are focused on youth development, to promote healthy lifestyles for youth in Commerce, to make sure that we were using our targeted and evidence-based youth development practices with the sports programming, and to provide an academic learning component where we're encouraging academics and reading skills, and then to create some mentorship opportunities for kids in Commerce. We were going to be offering, and we wanted to kind of just let the community get to know us. We worked to develop a partnership with the student athletes at the university, and you'll see here we had over 30 student athletes that helped the development aspects of the program. We had the opportunity to take the soccer kids to an outing to the homecoming game at A&M Commerce, and they got to go down on the field during halftime and be up on the big screen. It was a really fun opportunity for the kids. We did secure a uniform sponsor for the soccer program. And when we have been building a good relationship there are university students who are attending classes in the sports management program where they're required to do volunteer hours and getting encouraged to getting involved with kids in the sports programs. And so we're working to build that. Because we were going through a transition, we divided and conquered. Ricky really stepped up and helped a lot with the logistics of the game days, and we focused on admissions and concessions during that time. Moving into T-ball, baseball, softball season, we registered 170 youth. That's actually to the T, the exact same number of youth that participated in the T-ball, softball, baseball program last year, which was the only program that was offered before our partnership and the year previous to our partnership. We continued working with the intern. We did have a team go to the All-Star tournament, and one of the highlights of the T-ball, baseball, softball was that we played T-ball with Cumbie and Wolf City this year, which was a first. That was an expansion of that T-ball program. So overall, we served unduplicated numbers, 352 youth in Commerce through the programs this year, 72 volunteers, and 41 to 45 paid staff. We did participate in quite a few community events, trying to get the word out about the program and what we have to offer and the new partnership. And that brings us to lessons learned. So I talked about the parent surveys and coach surveys that we did after the soccer season. Basketball season, like I said, was when we were going through that transition, and we were kind of working side by side with Ricky. And we didn't do any formal kind of feedback or debrief really after the basketball season was over. But after the baseball season was over, we had a parent meeting here at City Hall and got feedback from parents. And so these are some of the things I want to share with you that we learned. Planning time is everything. We need more of it. We did just jump straight in within 3 weeks, I want to say, of signing that agreement to doing some those camps last summer. And so we know that it showed up a lot of times in some logistics that were going on during some of the seasons that we were like, we were last minute planning every single season. It was like we finished up one season and we were already 2 weeks behind on on planning the next sport the next season. And so one of the things we're looking forward to this year is that we already kind of have that mapped out moving into next year. And we know just from what we do every day in the clubs and other programs that we run, there's actually a direct correlation to the amount of time your staff spend planning and the quality of your programs. And so planning time is something that we are working on. Communication wavered when we were going through some of these transitions, and we understand how very important that is. So those are, I put those in all caps because those are two things that we really feel like are going to be crucial moving forward. Keeping that consistency with our league staff is something that we know is going to be really important as well. And then some feedback that we got from parents around practice schedules, uniform preferences, the way the concession stands were run, and the quality of the coaches are all things that we're keeping on our radar moving forward as well. This is just an overview of where the finances landed. So this is one of those things that you have more detail in your packets. I've actually provided a detailed transaction list that accounts for all of these funds, but we brought in about almost $36,000 in income. We spent a little over $36,000. The league and the program expenses ended up really just kind of balancing out. And then we did make over a $17,000 investment in that sports coordinator, program coordinator position this year. And one of the things in our agreement with the city is that in year one, the city would be open or willing to provide up to $10,000 in funding to help. And so that the investment in that sports program coordinator position would be what those funds go for. And then this is just, again, just some things that you can expect moving forward. Like I said, planning is everything, so we already have that tentative schedule in place, and I've provided that detailed schedule for you. It's just a draft. It's open to change. We need to run it by our parent committees and talk more in depth with it with Ricky and all of those types of things, but we already are looking at mapped out the whole entire next year of when our registration dates will be and all of that kind of stuff. We are working on, we have multiple grant requests that are pending, and we are continuing to turn in more grant requests as time goes on. And so we are looking to be able to leverage the resources that we have as a Boys and Girls Club to get some more grant funding in for this program, as well as some of our national partnerships and resources. Boys and Girls Club has a great partnership with Major League Baseball, NFL, Buffalo Wild Wings, some corporate sponsors, and there are some equipment and supplies and even low costs, or getting the cost down on uniforms and things like that we can leverage through those national resources. Last year, one of the challenges was that we kind of started too late. So a lot of those things you have to plan for way ahead of time. And so we are feeling confident that we're going to be able to leverage a lot more of those resources. There's lots of opportunity for sponsorships from the local community, and we have a resource development team that can help with that as well. As I shared earlier, we did get a uniform sponsor for the soccer season, but we'd like to see more more of that happening throughout the season. And then really building a more robust onboarding and orientation program for our coaches and volunteers, because that is so crucial to the quality. And just looking at everything on that list of things that we learned, having that constant communication and feedback loop going on, and making sure that we are improving as we're learning. The rest of the presentation is just QR codes on how to contact us, register for soccer, all of those sorts of things. And I will open it up for questions at this time.
Any questions from the council? Any comments?
Overall, we're very pleased with how the first year of the program has gone. We feel like we were able to have better programs for our community than we could have pulled off with city staff alone. And so we do feel like this first year was a success. It's the staff recommendation that we just continue moving through this agreement. Year one is in the books. We've got 2 more under this agreement. I think we're going to continue to learn, grow, and improve, and see better programs and offerings for the kids of our community. So we appreciate the faith that you've given in us, and we're going to keep working to get better.
Well, we appreciate your efforts, and I was here for the parent night on the baseball, and good feedback from the parents. I thought very constructive, and I appreciate the Boys and Girls Club stepping up and identifying where lessons learned were and things that you can do to improve. I agree with Howdy. Overall, I think it was a successful year and would not have been possible without the Boys and Girls Club. So thank you very much for the service you provided to Commerce. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 9 on our agenda, discussion and possible action on a resolution accepting the work completed by Fryer Construction on the wastewater treatment plant pump replacement project. You know, I practiced that and still didn't say it all right.
It's a mouthful.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Timothy Jones. I'm the Director of Public Utilities. I'm here to discuss just pretty much about how this project went. If you will recall, we had 3 pumps at the master lift station at the wastewater treatment plant. They've been in operation for about 17 years or more. They have broken down numerous times, been pulled, been worked on, been put back in. In 2019, 2 of the pumps broke down, and due to their age, they were not able to be repaired. And I'm not sure how we went through this long with 1 pump, but we made it. Every time we got a rainfall, the wet well levels would rise, causing our wastewater plant to flood, and then causing weeks of cleanup and stuff to get back within current. Fryer Construction came in, and they did an excellent job. This project went real smooth, I think smoother than anyone thought it would go. You can see the pictures of our old pumps and then our new pumps right there. These pumps are have been put in, new check valves. Everything is working excellent. We've had 2 rain events since, and no flooding. I think at most we've had 2 pumps come on, but there's been, it's nice to know now that when it rains, you don't have to worry about what's going to happen at the wastewater plant. It'll take care of the water.
Let me follow up what TJ said. Mr. Henry and Ms. Thompson may be the only 2 that are familiar with the beginnings of this project. I look back on our records, and we went back, we started on this funding for this project in 2013. Try to remember what you're doing in 2013, where you were. We applied for $3.49 million worth of work to improve your wastewater collection system. We applied through the Texas Water Development Board, and part of the funding that you got was 0% interest, and part of it was 1%. That's pretty good. But you have to get an environmental impact statement, you have to do a financial advisor, bond attorney, and engineering feasibility report. But you get those things done, you get the much lower interest rate, you get a longer term to pay for it. Y'all replaced 26,500 feet of sewer line. Hey, that's over 5 miles of sewer line. As part of that project, we not just repaired the trench where the sewer line went in the northeast part of town, we rebuilt Plum and Cherry. Then on the far north part of town, that was a subdivision put in the sixties. Okay, and it had clay tile pipe with 4-foot joints and no rubber gasket. They leaked like crazy, and old brick manholes that were falling in, we replaced all of that. And we had so much money left over that we did 3 change orders to that contract. Just kept adding and adding to the project. You got a sludge dewatering box and a polymer feed system that helps to separate the water from the sludge, makes it more efficient for TJ to remove the solids and keep your plant in compliance with discharge permit. And then we had this project left over. The electrician told us that the one pump that was left running was pumping maybe 400, 500 gallons a minute. The new ones pump 2,000 each. So you went from 400 to 6,000. So you got a vast improvement. You got a lot done with this project, and we have used up every bit of the money that was there. You don't want to give any of that money back when it's at 1% or 0% money. So you used up every bit of it. You made some vast improvements to your system, so you should be congratulated. You stayed with it for a long time, 2013 to 2022. So anyway, I just wanted to give y'all the recap of what you've done on this project and all that you got accomplished. Reference point. You should be congratulated. That's it.
Thank you.
Do y'all have any questions regarding the project or the progress? And we're just asking you to adopt the resolution that is part of the state funding program, and we appreciate you.
We're able to discuss some of the hotel tax allocations. And so tonight for the FY 2023, it's just open for discussion and possible action on how you want to allocate those funds. So just to kind of recap, during the workshop, it was discussed as it's shown on your screen. But what was actually requested by each entity, the Chamber of Commerce had 0 funds on their actual request. The Northeast Texas Children's Museum requested $7,000. Texas A&M Commerce requested $12,000. Champs Heart of Texas Bowl requested $5,000. And then it was requested by City Council to put $4,000 for Commerce Parks and Recreation to use towards a tournament. Putting your total allocation requested at $28,000. Any questions?
Any questions from the council? Any comments?
Mayor, one of the things that I want to point out, since our workshop, we subsequently had a conversation with the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce still has about $5,000 of funding from HOT awards in years past that have not been fully expended. And so it is staff recommendation that we ask the Chamber to go ahead and spend the $5,000 that they have before we give any new awards to add on top of that. And so that's the recommendation from staff.
Okay. Any questions concerning that?
Yes. If we're not gonna give the 2,000 to the chamber, can we move that to Parks and Rec and make that 4,000, 6,000?
That is within your right, yes.
Okay. So with that, I'll need a motion that identifies the funding that has been allocated to each of these organizations.
Do we typically take it all the way to the full budget amount?
Not necessarily. The $30,000 is what I am forecasting for your revenue for next year. And so of course, you may get less than that or you may get more than that. That's just what we're budgeting for your revenue, so that's just the suggested dollar amount.
A healthy fund balance?
Yes, we have a healthy fund balance now.
Okay. I assume there's $6,000 worth of work that needs to be done?
Yes, there is. I can confirm that.
At least 6.
You mean in Parks and Rec?
Yes.
at the baseball
At the baseball
complex to support tournaments, yes.
So do I have a motion identifying the funding allocated to each of these organizations?
I move that we go with the recommendations. Do I need to list those or just the recommendations of the
Yes, please.
$0?
Please list them.
Okay.
So we can get them on in the minutes.
The Chamber of Commerce was received $0. Northeast Texas Children's Museum will be $7,000. TAM Marketing Agreement is $12,000. The Champs Heart of Texas Bowl is $5,000, and the Parks and Recreation for the tournament will be $6,000.
Thank you.
A total of $30,000.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Yes.
ma'am.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Jamie. Item 11 on the agenda, discussion and possible action on a resolution approving a tax resale deed for the property located at ML King Drive, property ID number 70364, within the City of Commerce.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The city's tax attorneys brought this item to us for your consideration. This process involves all the taxing entities voting to approve these tax resales. This is a property that was foreclosed on at some point, and that's how our tax attorneys at Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson came to encounter the property. We received a bid on the property for $1,090 in cash. The property this year, of course, appraisals have gone up, but the property was appraised for $8,700. The city would receive a small portion of that $1,000, but the overall goal, of course, would be to put this property back on our tax roll. So I'm happy to take any questions if you have them.
Is this a home?
I believe it's a vacant lot.
Oh,
Typically, they're vacant lots. For that amount, I would assume it's vacant.
Do you have a map of this one?
I do not. The property's on MLK Drive, I do know that. Are there any other questions?
Any questions? Do we have a motion?
I move that the city approve the resolution approving a tax resale deed on property located at ML King Drive within the City of Commerce.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
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 Like sign. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 12, first reading, consideration and possible action on an ordinance amending Chapter 90, Traffic and Vehicles, subsections 90-101 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Commerce to amend the official traffic parking map and the official traffic no parking map to designate a no parking zone on the west side of Harlow Street, beginning at the intersection of Harlow and Mangum and continuing south to the intersection of Harlow and Charity Road, and providing a penalty and providing for an effective date. Chief Bassam.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Chris Bassam, Director of Public Safety. As the Mayor said, this item is amending the traffic, Chapter 90, Sections 90 through 101. We got a couple of complaints over the last 90 days, about 5. We've been monitoring this area for a while. As those complaints come in, we focused and really paid a lot of attention down there on Harlow. Harlow is 20 feet wide. It's adequate once there's no one parked there. There's a lot of construction, a lot of residential parking in that area. It's getting a good bit congested. We've monitored it for 60 days. We've been out there. We haven't written a lot of tickets. We've been able to get them to move. What we're finding is that when they're parking and developing everything in that area, the road's just too narrow for us to get down with fire trucks. It's too narrow to get down with UPS trucks, code enforcement, any type of emergency vehicles. We feel it's in the best interest after the 60-day monitoring to make the west side of that street no parking. Mostly on that street, you've got large lots, large lawns. We would push everything over to the east side where there's residents. Alternative to that be, we can continue monitoring it and see where it goes. Like I said, we put in about 60 days, and that's kind of what we found in the 60 days, is that the west side with the 20-foot road is just a little bit too narrow for parking on both sides. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
I do believe that there's 2 houses on the east side right now, and I believe that 2 more are planned to be built there.
By doing it this way, that will allow them to park in front of their residence, just not across the road. It would push that traffic over on their side.
Will they have to have the sticker like they do?
So, at this time, we're not putting that into that area. If it becomes even more congested, we can go that route. This is just simply making the west side no parking. If it gets to be where those houses grow and they need that area, that is an option. We can move it into that ordinance, where they would have to get a sticker on the west side. Basically, what we're seeing in that area, though, is just there's not enough growth at this time, and the street's wide enough, and it's not congested enough that just making the west side will accommodate everything.
Chris, are we getting that much traffic on that road?
I'll be honest with you, mainly what we're seeing is young kids living in houses where you might have 3 living there, and they've got 8 or 9 cars, and construction vehicles. They pull in with all kinds of trailers and everything, and instead of parking out of the way where it's available, they just park wherever, 22, 26 inches from the curb. You know, we try to move them, and it's just too narrow of a street to accommodate that. Now, it's not as narrow as a lot we have. There's streets that are much narrower. But that's really what we're seeing is, I hate to use the term, but it's just a lot of people visiting certain areas.
I can say that I have experienced driving that funnel, and you have to slow down drastically to get between those vehicles.
And I understand that, but we just, on our consent agenda, we just approved property that's getting done on Sycamore Street that has the same issue.
It does. So, not enough hours in the day. There's a lot more issues that Clay and I are working on. They'll be popping up. This one just come up that we focused on in that area. There's about 4 more locations, that being one of them, that we'll be bringing to you pretty quick.
Much more than, it's
Yes,
a lot.
yes, sir.
Yeah,
Much more than 20 feet. It is.
yeah, okay.
Any questions for the chief? Any comments? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance?
I'll make a motion that we approve on first reading.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Chief. Item 13, first reading, discussion and possible action on an ordinance of the City of Commerce, Texas, amending the Code of Ordinances of the city by amending Chapter 10, Animals, by amending Section 56, Local Rabies Control Authority, and provide an effective date. Chief Bassett.
Item number 13 is some house cleaning, cleaning up a few things. A number of years ago, animal control was located in community development. I'm going to say about 6 or 7 years ago, animal control was moved back to the police department. It's been under our control ever since then. This is just cleaning up the ordinances. Right now, it establishes the director of community development as the rabies authority for the city. This moves that back to the police department. It puts me as the administrator for rabies control. In this case, it will be my administrative lieutenant who oversees the animal shelter, but it leaves it in the chief's office so that should he leave or anything else, it gives me the power to redelegate that. So it's just cleaning it up, moving it down to the police department where the actual animal control is housed.
Any questions for the chief? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance?
Approve the first reading of the ordinance.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Chief. Item 14, presentation by city council members regarding local events and updates. This is something new to the agenda, so it's an opportunity for the council to recognize activities in our community. And so I have one that I want to lead off with, but then we will go from council members left to right to see if anybody has anything that they would like to add. So for me, I would like to thank the Girl Scout Troop 8060 for all of their efforts to install a beautiful pollinator garden at the Authors Park located beside the Commerce Public Library. The garden was welcomed and recognized by the city and the Chamber of Commerce on May 31st, and you can see in front of you some of the pictures. It was a great evening as we met out there to christen this garden and park area and meet the young ladies that had service project hours put into the establishment of this garden. So I just want to publicly say thank you to Troop 8060. So, anything from Councilman Henry? All right. Councilman Thompson?
I would like to just bring it to the attention, if some of you haven't seen it, it's been on Facebook, the wonderful progress that is going on with our park on at the Ivory Moore. If you haven't driven by there, it is going to be incredible.
Okay. Councilman Ayers?
I have nothing.
Nothing? Okay. With that being said, let's move on to item 15, City Manager's Report.
I can't think of that.
Mayor, Council, thank you for the opportunity to update you on some of the things that your staff have been working on. There was no public input, so we'll move on to the finance update and then invite Ms. Campbell.
Good evening again. So we're just going to jump right into sales tax. So this is your sales tax as of May 2022. And so as of May of 2022, we've reached 84% of our budgeted sales tax revenue. And every month thus far, we have either met or surpassed our budgeted goal for the month. And we expect that trend to continue for the final 4 months of our fiscal year. I am expecting us to surpass our budget and even surpass what we got last year. So looking at our top 10 categories of sales tax, so retail, most of you know retail is going to be our top category. Before we get into that, I just kind of want to say 2 of our largest vendors in retail had slightly less sales tax, but the other stores either saw growth or held steady. And so even though it was slightly less than last year, we're still seeing that nice trend, that nice solid growth. The utilities, just so you know, if you're thinking about utilities, that is our electric and gas providers. And if you've paid an electric or gas bill lately, we at the City of Commerce are reaping some of that benefit. But I think we all know that those prices are going to continue to increase, and they are increasing. But that's why we're still seeing that trend increase. Manufacturing, of course, is not just the industries that are here in Commerce that participate in manufacturing and selling in manufacturing, but it's the companies that are selling to vendors here in Commerce. So sometimes that can be a little complicated. So if a vendor purchases from a manufacturing company, okay, we benefit from that sales tax if they list Commerce as that end point. So we are still, that's why that manufacturing is growing. And so as these new homes are starting to continue to build, I think we should still continue to see that manufacturing grow. And so since we have new council members, I kind of wanted to do an all-over kind of recap of our sales tax. So excuse me if it's a little bit long this month. So on our retail, as I mentioned previously, we did have a slight dip in our retail in the last 2 from last month of our largest vendors. But again, overall, retail is about 70,000 higher than we were last year. So overall, we're still seeing that growth. Our online retail also saw a slight dip. And I think that we will continue to follow the same trend as we did last year with online sales. So as long as lawmakers don't change the law again, and we still keep getting the benefit as the end, you know, so for those of you who don't know, there was a law change about 3 years ago where if you were a large online sale vendor, so Amazon, okay, it was the city who had the distributor got the sales tax. The law changed so that now the sales tax goes to whoever is the end shipper. So based on my address as the buyer, that city is getting the sales tax. So, but ever since they passed that law, of course, the places that have the large distributors, you know, that doesn't benefit them anymore. And so, of course, that's being fought every day. They're fighting it every day. We're seeing the benefit of it as a small community, and we hope that they don't change the law, because we are reaping the benefits of it. And so that's why you see such a large increase from 2019, and 2018 was even lower on online sales. But that's why you see such a large increase in this 2022 and 2021, is because we're starting to see that benefit of that law change, okay? So that's something just to keep in mind. And then moving over to the accommodation and food services. So we continue to see our full service restaurants, they're still recovering, and when I was looking at the detailed analysis, it seems like they are back on track with where they were before COVID. Their numbers are back to where they were before COVID. What I've noticed is that they are no longer, so in 2021, they were 46% of our overall. And what I've noticed is that shifted slightly. So now they're 44%. And so, and what's different is that we have these drinking places, alcohol beverages, which have taken that other 4% in 1 year. So it will be interesting to see what happens if that continues to grow. But in 1 year, it's gone from having no effect on your sales tax to shifting, you know, and taking a 4% and shifting that percentage. So I think it will be interesting for us to kind of watch it and see how it changes and moves. So some of that nerd talk. Moving on to property tax, we have reached 3.31 million in property tax. We have just about reached our budgeted goal. We have not gotten our certified tax roll. We will not get that until July 25th. So 10 days after you have gotten your proposed budget for 2023. Once we do that, we will know what the new certified tax roll for 2022 is. And so, again, once that happens in July, we'll know if that tax levy of 3.46 actually shifts. And so that's just something I want you guys to keep in the back of your mind. So we are doing really well. We're at 99% collections in our M&O, which is wonderful, which is always on trend for us. But again, that might shift if the tax levy from last year changes based on, you know, people fighting their taxes and protesting their taxes. So just keep that in mind. Moving on to your financial summary for April. Overall, we are under budget. We're over budget on revenues and we are under budget on expenses. If you have any questions on any specific departments or any specific revenue lines, I will do my best to give you that answer. Specifically, I will just note out the same things I kind of always note out, is that the ARP funding that we budgeted as a transfer out or a transfer in, but what we're actually doing is transferring out expense, which is why police and fire are so far under budget, is because I'm actually just transferring out their payroll, because that's the way the auditors would prefer to see it. But the way we budget it is a much cleaner way, and so the budget is kind of slightly off from actuals. All nets out to be the same in the end, but auditors prefer to see it one way, budget another way. Does anybody have any questions on the general fund department's revenues? No? So moving over to public utilities. Again, we are coming in under budget. So we're kind of splitting the difference here with expenditures. We're kind of cutting a little close on expenditures, but we are doing well on the revenue side. The solid waste. What I will say is our bulk pickup is higher than, we're at 79% of our bulk pickup line item. And a lot of that has to do with a push by community or by code enforcement to start cleaning up our community and start using that bulk pickup on a quarterly basis. And so I think that's a very positive thing, and that's not something that we bill out, you know, on your residential line items, but it is, that expense is housed here. And so it's slightly higher on that solid waste, but I think that it's a very positive thing that we see our community start cleaning up, and we see code enforcement really start pushing that. And so that's why we see that a little bit increased. Other than that, do you guys have any questions about revenues or departments that might be over budget or revenues that are low?
Just to clarify for me,
Yeah.
I'm really glad to hear that the code enforcement cleaning up community. So when you say, so who is that? What kind of things are they picking up in a
So
community?
I think Howdy can speak to that a lot better.
What does that look like?
So we've got a couple of things going on, but the bulk that you're talking about is once a quarter we come through a quadrant of the city, and we will pick up bulk items that have been put out on the curb. So it could be furniture, it could be boxes of bulk trash. It's bulky items that they won't pick up in their weekly run. The weekly trash collection is going to be your trash bags, your small stuff. The bulky furniture, utility items, that happens once a quarter, and the volume that has been picked up through that has been significantly higher than in years past. And so as we're going around doing code enforcement across the community, people are volunteering on their own to get rid of this stuff before we get a code enforcement case on them. So there are homes that we take through a full code enforcement case. When we do enforcement and we come in and clean their property for them, that expense lives somewhere else and is not going to show up here. But this is people voluntarily cleaning their property, and those are getting picked up on the quarterly routes that come through.
Previously, we just did it twice a year? Is that correct?
Because
Or have we always done it quarterly?
So
I
it
thought I
depends on
looked.
where you live,
Right.
but it's always been quarterly.
Mhm.
It just probably doesn't feel that way because the way that we make the rounds around the city, it's always been quarterly.
And those dates are posted where?
I believe we have them on the website, but you can always call into the utility department, and let the girls ask them, you know, tell them where you live, and they can tell you exactly when your pickups are, but they are on the website. And I think Molly, do you have anything on that one?
No, I was just gonna say, I didn't know this until today, so I was gonna share it. I spoke with Mary Miller, and if you, since it's every 3 or 4 months before they come around your section, if you have something you need picked up, you can contact city sanitation, and they'll bill it to, I believe, your utility
Yes.
bill, and they'll come by and pick it up. I had somebody call me about that.
We'll do a special collection.
It's a special.
I did that just last week,
Yeah.
cleaning out an
Yes.
apartment.
The other thing that we're looking into, we haven't found the solution yet, but we would like to create a convenience station within the town so that at any time you have a bulk item that you want to dispose of, if we can find a location, you can bring it to us, put it in the dumpster for free, and then that gets collected as part of our routine stuff. If you load up a mattress and go to the landfill, you've got the fuel to drive out there, and it's $45 just for the privilege of driving through the gate. And so what we find is people will drive out there, they don't want to pay the $45, so they'll leave, and that trash ends up on the side of the road somewhere. And so we would really like to make it more convenient to get rid of this bulk item rather than waiting the 3 or 4 months. The challenges are we have to find a location that's fenced in and that we can have someone to man it. You can't just let people dump whatever, because hazardous waste ends up in those containers. So we haven't found the final solution, but we're working on the concept of a convenience station so that it's easier for the public to get rid of their stuff. Hopefully they'll end up with less on the side of the road.
Is there an opportunity to combine that with the tree limb place?
There's an opportunity, but that's not a great location. It's out on the edge of town. It's hard to get in and out of. And if we've had any rain at all, it's not convenient. And so we're trying to find something more in town that we can locate, that we can have it behind a fence and have someone be there on a given weekend. We just haven't found the location yet.
And just as a reminder, beginning in May is when we'll see the increased expense coming from the city sanitation contract. So again, that's where you'll also see the increase on the solid waste here. It is time to go out for an RFP for our banking and depository, but bank depository services. Miss Molly has been working diligently on that RFP for me, and this is our tentative timeline. So we are looking to release that RFP July 1st, have proposals back by July 29th. We will review them, and then for the August City Council, be able to award that contract with an effective date of October 1st. The main concern is if we do end up having to, or you decide to switch banking services, it gives me a month and a half to switch all of our banking services to the new bank before the new year begins. And so this is our tentative timeline. We just kind of want to put it on your radar so that you can be prepared and know that this is coming. But I want to say thank you to Molly for all the hard work you've done to put that together for me. So thank you. And everybody's favorite time of the year, budget workshop. Just want to remind you that August 1st, you get to be with Howdy and I all day. I know you're so excited for your fiscal year 2023 budget workshop. I would also kind of recommend maybe putting half a day August 2nd on your calendars, just in case we need it. I believe that we will give you lunch, soup in a can. You know, we're going to keep it very low-key budget.
No hot plate?
No. It's not in the budget. So, but just put it on your calendar. Don't forget, it's a very big day. It's a very important day. But that's the day that, prior to that, you will have had your budgets in hand, paper budgets in hand for 2-3 weeks. Because I believe I will be bringing them to you, to your doorsteps, July either 15th or 16th, whichever that Friday is. So that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Calendar of upcoming events and meetings.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have quite a few events, upcoming events, as is consistent with summertime in Commerce. As a reminder, Commerce Farmers Market is still going on every Saturday. That takes place at Bonham Alley at the Farmers Market Pavilion. It begins at 8 a.m., and then if they don't sell out before then, it goes on until noon. So if you haven't already, check out our Commerce Parks and Recreation Facebook page. They do a great job of posting some of the vendors and some of the items that they've been selling there, and it certainly looks fantastic. Mosquito spraying will resume next week. Starting on Monday, June 27th, they'll begin with Section A and work their way through Sections B, D, and C. They begin at approximately 7 o'clock p.m., so of course we make recommendations that you bring in any pet bowls, cover any of your ponds while the spraying is taking place. The Northeast Texas Children's Museum, who's celebrating 20 years, they have lots of events going on throughout the months of June and July. I only included a few in here, but I was on their website today. They have a Dino Week coming up. They have like a spa day for little girls. So they have all kinds of fun events going on. But here's one that we wanted to include. They have Roadrunner Ranch, who's bringing Spirit the mini horse, the July 4th mini horse, and bunnies and lambs to the Children's Museum on June 29th. And that'll take place from 10 to 11:30. CCAP is working with, I believe, Commerce Parks and Recreation and the Commerce Police Department to host one of 2 Summer Fun Days events this summer. The next one's going to be June 30th at City Park. It'll start at 10:30 in the morning, so hopefully it's not too hot, but they've got a water slide there just in case. I believe our Commerce Police Department will be cooking hot dogs, which are free for the community. Chief Bassam himself will be so they'll be cooking hot dogs, so be sure and come on out. I'm going to let Ricky talk to you briefly about some camps we have going on this summer.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. Right now we have our registration open for our summer camps. Starting July 11th through the 14th will be our soccer summer camp. Then the 18th through the 21st will be for baseball and softball. And then finally basketball will be July 25th through the 28th. For anyone interested that wants to register, they can go to the Commerce Recreation website, or they can use the QR code located on the bottom of the flyer. Also, we also have registration currently open for our youth soccer league. This year we're doing ages 3 to 14, with 4U and the 14U divisions being co-ed divisions. Registration is $65, and once again, anyone that's interested, either register at the website or come see me in person in my office, or use the QR code at the bottom. Thank you.
I'm going to turn this one over to Chief Bassam as well. We have our 2nd annual Battle of the Badges.
On July 3rd, this will be our 2nd year to host the charity softball game. There's no entry fee to come in to the game. The only money we're going to raise is through concessions. And what we're going to do with the money is everything we raise, we're going to go out after that and buy box fans. We keep a number of box fans that are kind of feeding empty right now when they call them in, but we're going to go out. We hope, depending on what we raise, to maybe get a couple of small air conditioners. But we're going to get the box fans and if we can, the air conditioners. The following Saturday, we're going to be set up in front of PD and FD. And when they come in, if they have their water bill for proof of residency, we can use that money to give them a box fan or something. All of that is for $100.
So we on staff here know that what this really is bragging rights for the next year for either the fire department or the police department.
Police department won last year. They got together. When we started this, the rules were simple. It's fire, police. Well, PD went out last year. Well, these guys are PD, just not us. I believe fire has reached out to some more talented individuals. They're also fire, not us. We'll see how it goes.
So that event will precede this event. Our Battle of the Badges will precede this until fireworks happen on the evening of July 3rd. This is the event, an annual event that the Commerce Chamber of Commerce hosts. They have many sponsors for this event, and it will take place. Typically, it happens around 9 when it gets dark. So they'll have their fireworks exhibit this year at Centennial Park again. This is another event hosted by the Northeast Texas Children's Museum. They have 2 of these events. I believe one is June 29th, but they're filling up pretty fast. But they have another one on July 6th, Tea Time Treats with Tiffany. For any young ladies ages 7 to 11, the cost is $25 to register. The Bread of Life is hosting a recycling fund drive. This gets back to what we were talking about a second ago with different methods by which to dispose of appliances and things like that. They're accepting microwaves, crock pots, appliances. The event will take place on Saturday, July 23rd, and this is at the Church of the Nazarene. So it's a great opportunity for you to dispose of items like that. And it'll be a drive-through event as well. The Norris community is hosting their annual Unity in the Community for the 6th time. I'll let Howdy speak as to the status of Ivory Moore Park at that time, but this will take place on July 30th at 2 p.m. at Ivory Moore Park. Free food, lots of activities for the family. Turn it over to you.
Thank you, Molly. Chief, under personnel, you want to mention Robbie and his retirement?
So, Robbie retired last day of May after 40 years of service to the city. We're going to have a small get together on July 8th. I'm here at the council chambers. Anybody that knew Robbie or just wants to stop by, congratulations. We'd love to have you.
It's interesting to note that he retired at the end of May and then kept showing up for work in June, and they had to remind him, you don't work here anymore. We appreciate the service that Robbie has given us for 40 years. All right, I just want to briefly run through some of the projects that we've got going on. This classic antique dump truck that has been in our fleet has now formally been replaced. The new truck came in this week. Jamie will not let us use it until she gets all of her decals and things put on there, but we have a nice functioning dump truck that is available to our crews, and so we're thankful that that came in. Ivory Moore Park is under construction and is going along very, very well. They've probably got another week to 2 weeks left of construction work, and then once they complete that, our staff will come in and install a new fence along the border of that parking lot, and then our staff will also put some new material down for the parking surface. But the construction crews are wrapping up the work at Ivory Moore and getting ready to transition to City Park. I would suspect within the next couple of weeks, Ivory Moore will be completed. They'll be out of the way before the Norris Community event at the end of July. Some other projects of note. The splash pad is still moving forward. We should be having a groundbreaking ceremony for that project within the next couple of weeks. And so when we get that nailed down, we'll announce it and let you know. We had a very successful public town hall meeting last night here in the council chambers to go over the downtown master plan. We have not yet finalized any plans for downtown, but we've received some excellent feedback from the community and from the stakeholders that operate within our downtown, so that project is moving along very well. A project that is near and dear to all of our hearts is the Raw Water Motor Control Center out at Lake Tawakoni. As you know, there's been some challenges to that project, but the most important is that we're under a very serious deadline to have that construction completed by the end of December. Contractor is on board. Materials have been ordered. As of right now, the projection is we will meet that deadline and be completed by the end of December. You'll also recall that because that project has got some state funding attached to it, and it has been going on for a number of years, we're currently disqualified from submitting any new grant applications until that project's finished. So we're looking forward to completing that project in December so that next year we can get back in line for grant funding for fire trucks and for other things that we will need. Finally, the water treatment plant project contractor is engaged. They've already started ordering materials. Again, most of what we have to order, you order and then you wait. But that project is moving forward, and we're looking to see a successful project at the water treatment plant. And so that concludes the project updates that we have ongoing at the time. Be happy to answer any questions that you may have. With that, we do not have any items that require executive session, so Mayor, we give you back the agenda.
All right, thank you very much. It's nice to have so many projects in work.
Yes.
So with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
So at 7:16, the City of Commerce City Council meeting is now adjourned.
Oh, you're getting good. Just move, just move. Right on.
I sit at home and practice.